Hi, today I want to talk about transactional living and transformative living and why it's important for us to move towards transformative living rather than living on the superficial level of transactional living. A very popular theory these days in management training is transactional leadership versus transformative leadership. And simply put, transactional leadership is whereby there's a give and take in the relationship, and if people achieve certain things, you give certain rewards. If they don't achieve certain things, you give certain punishment. Pretty much nearly all traditional leadership is transactional in nature. I mean, part of it is things like if you're getting a job, you get paid so much per hour. If you don't do your job, you get fired. If you do a really good job, you get hired, or you go higher up, you get promotions. This is fairly obvious. The idea then of transformative leadership is taking it to a higher level. So the model they like to use is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if we just take a look at the diagram there, in transactional leadership, the first three of those layers are covered, with all your basic needs, and it's about fulfilling basic requirements in life. But with transformative leadership, we cover the top two. The top two are self-esteem and self-actualization. And how do we cover self-esteem and self-actualization in leadership? Well, we do that by empowering people to be, say, for example, in an organization, to be entrepreneurs. So instead of an entrepreneur is somebody who creates a business outside, an entrepreneur is somebody who creates change within the business. And so a transformative leader, they want the people that they're leading to be the best that they can be. It's not just about, doing your work and getting paid, okay? We can extend this out to all sorts of aspects of life, transactionalism versus transformative approach. For example, in the educational field, a lot of schools and colleges, they give you competent teachers, they follow the curriculum, they make you think critically, they make you pass the exams, and you get your certificates, diplomas, degrees, doctorates at the end of it. That's very transactional. But if we take some schools and some colleges, will take more of a transformative approach, and they want to grow the whole person, okay? So I think that might make more sense and make it easier for you to understand, is they want to transform the whole person. I'll give you another example. Back when I was a teenager, my entire family were into Kung Fu, and what amazed me, because I like reading a lot and watching documentaries and movies and stuff, so I looked quite a lot into the theory or philosophy behind martial arts. And what amazed me was what I saw in my local Kung Fu club was people trying to get good at fighting, people trying to perfect their forms and stuff so they could pass a grade, they get to the next grade, like blue belt to purple belt, brown belt, black belt, etc. You have to fight so many people, you have to do so many katas or forms, in the case of karate called katas, and there's various hoops you have to do, and it's quite transactional. And a lot of people, I felt, doing martial arts in Ireland, and I'm sure it's everywhere around the world, it's about kind of being a badass. It's about being very good at technically fighting, maybe not real fight, but in a technical, like competitive fight, and looking good and feeling fit and winning competitions and getting to the next level. And one of the biggest challenges I've seen is people getting beyond the black belt and then thinking, well, what do I do now? Because what now? And when I looked into the Japanese philosophy and the Chinese philosophy, they see it very differently. Certainly, I think there's spiritual elements in the Chinese philosophy. I can talk more about the Japanese philosophy I would have read more into, which is the karate kind of angle. It's about the Tao, which they spell T-A-O, but they pronounce it as Tao. And Taoism is about living life. It's exactly this thing of transformational. It's about building your self-esteem. It's about self-actualizing. And that really, by and large, the majority of people doing, say, karate and martial arts in Japan, and I'm pretty sure it's probably something similar in China, might be slightly different. I don't know as much about the Chinese culture, but it's probably something similar. It's really about a way of being. It's like people who do transcendental meditation. They're doing it because they're trying to get something beyond the normal, okay? They're trying to fulfill themselves. They're trying to become a better version of themselves. And it's so transformative. And I felt that in Ireland, I'm pretty sure in most Western countries and most countries around the world, what's being sold in martial art is fitness and badassedness, okay? That you look cool and maybe you're good at fighting people and you're going to be really fit. And it's competitive and they're missing, it's all transactional, you know? Show I used to like watching as a kid, Kung Fu TV series, and it's all this very spiritual kind of stuff. If you see some of the interviews with Bruce Lee, although Bruce Lee was a badass, he talked a lot about philosophy and spiritual type of stuff. So this is the real essence of martial arts. The real essence of martial arts is personal transformation. And the disciplining of the body is a tool to the disciplining of the mind, the maturation of the mind. And that's completely missed, okay? So I see it being missed in so many places. And I see a lot of people, even in their friendships, I'll do something for you as long as you do something for me. Okay, there was a saying that was quite popular not too long ago, and it's even in some songs I heard, what are you doing for me lately? Okay, what are you doing for me lately? So it's quite selfish, and we even get this in children and parents. So the way I would see it is, and I mentioned this in another video the other day, you know, the moment you turn your intimate relationships, like relationship between your parents, relationship between your wife or husband, relationship between your sons, daughters, siblings, the moment you turn them into a transactional relationship, they lose something. Because when we're not transactional with our intimate relationships, we're actually transformative. We're either transactional or transformative. It's that simple. There's no in between, okay? Or there's no relationship. All right. So when you are suddenly saying, well, you know, you say if a parent asks their kid for a slice of pizza and the kid doesn't want to give it to them. Well, the kid is saying, well, it's my pizza, okay? Let's say, for example, you want to borrow your brother's car. Can I borrow your car? No, you can't. Why not? I don't want this. You buy your own car. The moment you do that, you are now reducing a relationship from a transformative relationship, which could possibly have an infinite potential, down to something that has a limit. The moment you put a boundary on it, the moment you put a limit on it and say it's this much, then it's now got a boundary and it's just this much. Okay? You've restricted that relationship. Okay? So when you turn around to a friend and say, I'll do something for you because you always do something for me, well, that's transactional. And the problem with transactionalism as well is ever decreasing circles. Everything gets smaller and smaller and smaller. You're reducing and reducing and reducing. And again, what are you achieving from this, all right? So when we look at other problems people have, say, in their relationships, between their friendships, let's say close friendships and romantic friendships, like, you know, husband, wife, lovers, there's an awful lot of transactionalism. I'll do this for you if you did this for me. And a lot of hurt feelings. They didn't do something. The least they could have done is this. I always did this for them, okay? Transactionalism. When you reduce your romantic relationships and when you reduce your intimate, like close friendships to you do this for me and I do this for you, and what have you done for me lately? You've lost something. You're living at a more superficial level. And I see it so much in so many people in life, they're incapable of living at a deeper level. Everything is transactionalism. Everything is about getting something back. The idea, the concept even, of just giving something and not wanting to receive, not looking to receive, is beyond most people's capacity to even think. And the reason that band this out to the whole world is that we've got a very self-centered world. Very few people are service-oriented. Not everybody. There are some service-oriented people out there, but not many. So the world is a selfish place and a limited place because everybody's saying the same mantra. What have you done for me lately? Okay? I'll do this if you do that. All right? So whatever happened to, I'll just help because I want to help. I will do something for you without looking for something back. There is no limit on a relationship or a friendship. Now, I'm not talking silly things like you meet somebody in the street and you give them all your money. Okay? I'm not talking stupid stuff like that. What I am saying is that Are we living transactionally or are we living transformatively? At least in the management realm, people are starting to realize that we need a management model that's transformative, that boosts people's self-esteem, that makes people entrepreneurs, and that makes people think about becoming the best that they can be. But as long as you're being transactional in your romantic relationships and in your intimate relationships like close friends, you're limiting yourself in some way. I'm not saying you should be foolish. We have to be savvy in this world. We have to be careful in this world. I do understand that. But we have to go beyond living at a superficial level. And so long as you're being transactional, as long as you're looking for, I want this definite outcome. I'm now going to talk to this guy because I want to use this car. I'm now going to talk to this person because, I think they know all the coolest people in this neighborhood and I'll be invited to nice parties. I'm going to invite these people around so they'll invite me around. This transactionalism, okay, have some transactionalism, no problem. But some aspects of your life you have to go beyond transactionalism. How can we go beyond transactionalism? Try and think of serving somebody or some people. Try and think of some way you can do something for somebody in your life and not look for something back. Try and do something bigger than before. So maybe over the next week or so, just do a couple of random acts of kindness. Okay, random acts of kindness. And the other long-term benefit of this is as long as we're transactional, we're looking for something, we're very limited in what we want. There was some movie I remember seeing many years ago, and I think there's a book attached to this as well. And I'll try and remember what it is. But the theme of it is this idea of this great act of service to others, and that it is like the great project. And I take my ego out of it. I think, how can I serve more? So imagine if you took a day of your life and you thought, how can I serve my husband or wife more? How can I serve my kids more? How can I serve my parents, my brothers, my sisters? How can I serve the people I work with, my neighbors, more? How can I serve everybody? Just to try it out and see, how can I serve them more? Just for one day. And see what effect it has. Take them from the perspective that I've got to serve, I've got to do better, I've got to help more. I've got to try better, to not think of me, but to think of thee. I've got to try now and again. Maybe not every day, it's a bit of a hassle, but now and again I've got to think bigger than just me. Now and again I've got to think bigger than a transaction. And I've got to think, how can I help? We sometimes see this when people are, say, terminally ill, for example, that they know they're going to die, and they suddenly get a feeling of, I have to help somebody, and they'll go way out of their way to help somebody or some group of people. And what's happening at that moment is they are going beyond transactions and realizing, I've got to do something or give something. Why? Just because I've got to do it. Because I like doing it. Because it makes me feel good. Because I want to serve. I want to help. I want to do something good. I want to see them smile for a change. I want to see those people happy. I want to see what's the potential, what's my potential, what's their potential. Let's raise up the game, let's see what happens. So this is what we have to do. We have to find ways of challenging yourself. And at the same token, I don't want people to think they have to be like Mother Teresa type characters. Although poor Mother Teresa nowadays says she's terrible apparently. I don't know. But the point is, I do understand that people have a different essence and so on, okay? So I'm not saying you should be doing loads of charity work, because it depends upon your personality. I do believe people have different kind of, we could call charisms, which is charisma abilities. So for example, I wouldn't be the first guy in line to do loads of charity work, but I'm a great guy for giving advice and talking to people about their problems. I feel comfortable doing that, and that my way of service is talking to people and helping people. But other people's way might be running after people and doing stuff for them. Other people's way might be whipping out a musical instrument and playing a song. So serving people doesn't mean you have to get down to the local soup kitchen. If you hate soup kitchens, don't go to the soup kitchen. Do something you actually like doing. But find some way of going beyond transactionalism. And the strange thing, the last thing I want to say is, as long as you're transactional, your life will be very limited. And things like depression and anxiety will be coming after you. But when you expand your life into transformative living, where you stop trying to have transactions with people and you try and do what you feel is the right thing to do, or the helpful thing to do, or the fun thing to do, or the creative thing to do, just because of the hell of it, because you're not transacting with people anymore. You're doing what you feel is good, you feel is right, you feel is fun. It doesn't always have to be that you cook people a cake. It could be that you just have a bit of a laugh. But go beyond transactionism. It's very hard to do it all the time. So pick a day, try and do a bit. Pick a moment, try and do a bit. Check yourself every day and see, was it transactional day? Or did some of the time I try and be transformative? Some of the time I went beyond transactions, and even transactions with myself that, am I forcing myself to follow all sorts of agendas and goals all the time? That's also transactional. So we can take this in many different directions. But my challenge to you is, if you want to lead a really fulfilling life, you've got to get transformative. And the management guys are right. You're either a transactional leader or transformative leader. You're a leader, but we can extend it and say you're either leading a transactional life or a transformative life. Very few people are leading a transformative life. A life that boosts your self-esteem and confidence, boosts other people's self-esteem and confidence, that helps self-actualize you in the process. That's the boon. The boon is you are the one who's going to get self-actualized from this, because you are trying to become a bigger, more expansive version of yourself. And I really feel that the single biggest challenge we face if we want to grow and develop human beings is transactional living, where we limit everything down to, I'll just give you this, if you give me that. That's the most limiting thing. So have a think about it, and I have to think of that book if I can, or that movie, and I'll stick it in the description. A very useful idea. This great project, this great something bigger than me, where I can serve other people. Not because I'm maybe super generous, but because I want to be a bigger version of me, because it's fun. Okay, I hope you like this video. If you do, please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.